Welcome, Jason.
Oh,
Jason looks like he's sunny and bright. Gotta love that. If you
Yes,
could, if,
I'm in Florida, but I'm cold. I had to come outside.
it's the honestly, it's the beauty of being a coach. When you think about it,
Yeah.
you get to work from wherever. Nobody can tell you you can't work outside, which is lovely. So, and welcome, Hasing. Always good to see you. Glad that you could join us. And Sarah, happy to see you as always. Glad that you could make it here.
Is my screen really dark?
It's a little dark. Yeah, it's a little dark background, but it's tolerable. We can see you, which is good. Karen is in the house. She is a neurohumorist, so it just got funnier just by having Karen in the room with us. This is going to be a fun session. So just saying. And
Carolyn, the more you pay me, the funnier I get, Rob. So
is that how it is? Okay.
Yeah.
And we didn't even send you any alcohol or anything else so that's okay. Carolyn, great to see you as well. And your lighting is beautiful and perfect. So we love that. And Sharon, good to see you. Glad that you could join us all. And Tom is in the house and joining us, and we thank Tom for all his tech support on a continual basis. And Rabbi Ezra is in the house. Things just got even more fun, so we're glad to see you. And
I even brought my monkey.
Yeah, exactly. The monkey is going, so we're in good shape. And Sarah, great to have you, and Grant, we're happy that you could join us. And Susan, glad that you could join us as well. All right, I think we are ready to kick things off.
all right, awesome. And just also Christine, glad to have you with us. We'll talk more about Christine in just a moment as she's helping us. I'm so glad everybody's here right now. Thank you for joining us and welcoming Janice to the call as well. If everybody could just take a second and like, I know we're all here from all over the place. Just type into the chat where you're dialing in from today. I would love to see, your location.
Awesome.
Those of you in California.
Oceanside and sunny San Diego. We got some people close together. I like that.
We know it's sunny out there in California. And Florida, San Diego, Oceanside, Pickerington. Is that Ohio? The Smoky Mountains of North Carolina, like the Smoky Mountains, Washington, D.C., New York City, Ohio. Nice. Ohio, got it. Denver. We actually have a framework that's called Ohio. It stands for something, but we won't get into that right now. West Michigan, Atlanta, Ohio. I'm also in Ohio. A transplant from Michigan, transplant from Toronto, but today I'm dialing in from Dayton, Ohio. And Rob, where are you dialing in from?
I'm coming from Las Vegas, right on the edge of the Red Rock Mountain Range. So
great. And I see Fairborn, you joined the call, and we're putting in the chat where we're dialing in from as we get started here. And we love to hear from all of you during the session today. So if you're willing to share why you're excited to join us today, maybe we'll take a couple shares right now. Just make sure your video's on and show us, just by show of hands if you want to share why you were excited to join us for this workshop. I would love to hear from maybe one or two people who are willing to share why they're here. You came. Why were you excited to come today? We'll start with Sarah and then we'll go to Sharon.
Primarily because in buildings, other than virtual, we're going back to live presentations. So that's one of the main reasons, is getting prepared for going live again, in-person presentations.
Great, awesome. And everything we do today will be applicable in live as well. We've designed it for virtual today, but you can take a lot of the tools you're going to learn today and do that live. Also, you have to adapt them, but that could be also a fun process. Sharon, your turn. Why are you excited?
Yeah, I think I'm great. Thanks. Nice to see everybody. I think live is great, but I think it's going to be increasingly impractical as the world gets more complicated. So I am turning that into lemonade. I have just gotten so excited about this idea of the things that we can do to make virtual to thrive in the environment, not just white knuckle it until the pandemic is over. I really see the potential, thanks to the coaching circle that Robert did for us in exchange. I really see it, and it's changed my whole principle. I'm getting invited now to go to live things, and so many people want it all at once because it's been all pent up. I can't go to them all. And I'm actually shifting to, no, I don't want to do it that way anymore. I can be more impactful, help more people, and make a bigger difference if I just stay still and do things this way. So I can't wait to learn more. I think it's super fun too, to learn it. It's just a great time.
Thank you for sharing that. I mean, there's a lot of things happening live and virtual, and everything we did today will make those experiences, whether they're live or whether they're virtual, at a whole new level, as you'll see soon. So I'm super excited to welcome you to the Group Coach Magic Live Workshop. I'm Daniel, and this is Rob. We'll tell you more about us in a little while. But today you're going to learn how to deliver group coaching in a whole new way. And you're going to learn some ways to increase your impact in groups. And we want you to do that so you can scale with more confidence, and just take your impact to a whole other level. So just congratulations on being here today, because you're investing in yourself. And you're also trusting us with your time. And we are definitely going to make it worth it for you. We want to make our time as powerful as it can be. So if everybody could also help us do that and take the moment to eliminate distractions and interruptions, turn off your notifications. You'll want to stay to the end so you can find out about how you can get some tools today that we're going to share, that we can share with you as well. But if you're live with us, please be sure to turn on your video and audio and keep it on all the way through. We're going to be really going quite fast through some of this stuff. So stay present. It's going to be a ride as we cover a lot in a really short time. You'll see how we do that. And you'll want to have a pen and paper handy, because we're going to do some writing and some journaling today as you're going to reflect, because we're coaches, you're coaches, you get it. We'll model some things that are really effective for group coaching for you too. So we're not just going to tell you, we're going to show you. And don't worry, if you like what you experienced today, or you want to learn even more and go deeper, we'll share info about the next steps on how you can do that. And we'll tell you, and we'll answer questions about that as well today. But we're offering more because we know a lot of people want to go deeper, because we're covering a ton, and you'll feel like, wow, that was a lot, but we're just scratching the surface. So I do have a question for everyone, and please, just by show of hands, visually on your video, you can even type yes in the chat if you prefer. Who here today wants to know how to create a real community with shared values and culture that will virtually assure that your members get the progress they want? Just show me your hands if that's you. Awesome. I see all those hands going up. Who here today also wants to learn a proven system for leading group coaching sessions that gives you the confidence to lead them no matter what coaching framework you happen to be using in your own business? Show of hands. Yes, love it. And who would like to learn how to 4x or more their effective hourly rate through the leverage of group coaching to free up their time so they can have their life back while making a bigger difference with groups? Show of hands. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's why you're here, right? Well, today we're going to make a big leap for you on these things, because you're going to leave feeling really renewed, re-energized, and inspired to lead group coaching with so much more confidence. And just last question, who is here is tired of building your group coaching business alone and would really benefit from the encouragement of amazing and generous coaches working on the same challenges with group coaching? Yeah, exactly. So all of us almost. So, well, you're in the right place. All those things, that's what we're all about here at Group Coach Magic. And by the way, what we just did was something called Yes Questions. It's one nifty little tool you can put in your pocket to keep people engaged, especially at the beginning, right? Like I just did. So just really briefly, we want to talk about some of the outcomes and objectives for the session today, so that you know what we're aiming to do with today. And we're aiming to change your concept of how important group coaching can be to your career and your impact. We want you to learn the things that we wish we knew when we were getting started with group coaching. We're going to bust some myths for you, and we want you to leave feeling more confident about group coaching so you can worry less about your group coaching sessions. We want you to overcome any imposter syndrome you might be feeling about group coaching. And we want you to learn some tools. You want to get some tools that you can try out. By experiencing it today, you'll try out those tools immediately in your next group session even. So we also want you to decide on some next steps for you on your journey, and we'll share some ways you can do that, including any questions you have about that. And we're going to have some fun with some awesome people as we basically play a bunch of games together. That's basically what it's going to be today. So by show of hands, who's even more excited now that they're here? Yeah, I'm getting really excited just thinking about what we're going to do today. So I'm super ready to go with you. And we are recording the session today. So we have a lot more people registered here today than are here. We got so many messages that today would not work for them. So there will be a replay made available while it's available. For those of you who are watching the replay right now, I just want to take a moment to invite you in and to think about whether it would really serve you to focus on what you're experiencing here today and why you're here. Because you raised your hand, you said this is important. So if you're multitasking on the recording, on the replay, just ask yourself, is it aligned for you to play along in full presence with us? And if it is, then we encourage you just watch this pretending you're here right now with us live. And maybe pause when it's time to share and share out loud, maybe journal along with us and watch in real time without speeding up because it's very experiential. We want you to feel what it's like. And so also for everyone here live, let's just make our friends on the replay feel like they're here too. Like, let's wave to them. Hello, people on the replay. You're here with us now. And we appreciate you just as much as we appreciate everyone who's here present and live. And for those of you watching the replay, get ready to participate and play full out. And for those of you live, same thing goes for you. Can we all give each other permission to just do that right now by show of hands? Just like, are you in for playing full out in this session? Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. Okay, so as we mentioned, there will be opportunities to go deeper with us, and we'll share about that later on. But just before we start, I want to take a moment to acknowledge Christine Monsalou, who is one of our mastermind members and also graduate of our Surefire program. Christine, if you want to just say hello and a little wave for us.
Hey, everybody. I'm so thrilled for all of you right now. It's amazing. So thank you. I'm excited to be here too.
Yeah, Christine is not only a graduate, but she's doing our tech right now for us behind the scenes. And so we appreciate her so much. And normally here's where we might share a long list of qualifications experience that Rob and I have. We do things a little differently here at Group Coach Magic. We'll give you more about that later after some fun first, right? So all you need to know is we've been studying group coaching for a long time. We've had a lot of practice. We've made a lot of mistakes that you don't have to. And we just want you to play along today and you'll see what we mean by what we bring to the table with group coaching. And we're constantly studying and improving. So along with Group Coach Magic Mastermind members, we are at the cutting edge of group coaching. And they're here with us, some of them today, and we're excited to have them here. They're all graduates of the Surefire program. And let's maybe have a wave and a hello from those of you who are graduates from Surefire. Great. So glad you came today to participate and to learn again and to be here with us. But today is actually about all of our attendees and the group gathered here today. We're just here to up level every single person here today. And all you need to do is just participate fully and you will see what that means for you. So we're going to be here for 2 hours. So get present and buckle up. And Rob, did I forget anything? I probably did.
Yeah, no, I think this is you really covered all of the key points. Just that we're super excited. This is an upgraded version. So we actually did a session similar to this before, and this is the upgraded version of it. So we're so glad that you could come and participate, play full out with us, and we're certainly happy to see all the beautiful people who were able to join us on the call today.
Thanks, Rob. So if you're all ready to participate and get going, just give me a thumbs up. Let me see your thumbs. Yeah, great, awesome, thank you. So let's get right into it. Now that we covered all the things you need to know about today, and now that you know what today is going to be like, we're going to kick off an activity that's both fun and profound. And Rob, why don't you lead us through that activity now?
Okay, this is just a time for all of us that have been rushing to get here, or just dialing in or jumping in, or those of us that have been running from event to event. It's like, how do you get yourself here and how do you get yourself present? So we're going to do an exercise that is called two-handed breathing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold up one hand to the camera. And you can all hold up your hand to the camera. And then I'm going to take a finger, my pointer finger, just because it works better, and place it on the palm of my hand. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to narrate as I bring my finger up toward the top of my thumb for 5 seconds and back, and then second finger back, third finger, fourth finger, fifth finger. So we're just going to go in and out breathing for 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out, bringing our pointer finger up and tracing our fingers as we go. So we will get started. Okay. So breath in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out. 2, 3, 4, 5. And in. 2, 3, 4, 5. And out. 2, 3, 4, 5. And in. 2, 3, 4, 5. And out. 2, 3, 4, 5. And in. 2, 3, 4, 5. And out. 2, 3, 4, 5. And your final finger in. 2, 3, 4, 5. And out. 2, 3, 4, 5. Great. Thank you. Now what we're going to do is we're going to continue the next hand, but we're going to do it silently. And what I'd love all of you to do is just go onto the gallery view, if you're not already on the gallery view, and just watch along with each of the participants that are in the group joining you today, and just match up with them. So I'll kick it off with each one of you. And then as you're doing it, I'm going to just go off camera and just follow along with all the other participants who are on the call with you today. So you can go.
So Rob, before we jump in,
Yep.
Rob and I are going to put our hands off the screen because we're going to do it with you, but we want you to watch each other and silently do what we just did together. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to kick you off just so
Okay.
clear. Thanks, Rob.
So I'll just count it off and then I'm going to go off camera. So continue on for the rest of the fingers. So breathing in. Love it. Love it. Thank you for playing along with that. And now that we've completed those activities, and we're going to take a quick moment to break down some of the things that you might have noticed happen. So what did you notice about what it is that we just did? Is there anything that jumped out about that activity? And you can just raise your physical hand. And if there's anything that particular that you noticed about the activity that we just did a minute ago.
Janice, I saw your hand going up there.
Yep, Janice, jump on in.
Can you all hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so a couple of things I noticed. The first thing I noticed is we were all doing our own pace. But then we kind of, once we were able to focus on each other, we started synchronizing with each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, Christy said that we all breathe at different paces, which is a really great thing to notice. And then Janice noticed the synchronization, like the difference and then the synchronization. What else did people notice? Sarah said.
Sarah knows something in chat. I'd like to hear a little bit more about that, Sarah.
Yeah.
You said distracting. What did you mean?
It's easier to keep rhythm for myself, but then watching and trying to follow along really challenged that. You know, the countdown, the follow through. It wasn't as easy as, you know, to be synchronized as I was hoping, actually. So that was distracting. It was harder to focus, the countdown, the fingers.
Can you elaborate? But as you did it, did you notice anything else? Even though you were distracted, what happened for you anyway?
What happened is if I did not keep visual cue on their hands, it threw me off. So I had to stay visually connected to keep that going.
Okay.
Yeah. And Hasing said something that was directly related to that, which was pretty interesting, is she was able to mirror a couple of people at a time. So, and maybe this is an interesting thing that we can all learn about our particular learning styles, is that if we try to fit in with everyone in the group, maybe that's a challenge. But if we can find one or two people that we can mirror with or synchronize with, that could be helpful. And Kimberly has her hand up.
I noticed that, I mean, I've done this a bazillion times and I always get something out of it. So today I'm coming in from a very chaotic morning. And what I noticed was I was syncing up with a few people, specifically Grant and Jason and one other person, because we were kind of in the same space on our hands. But what it did was it focused me here, regardless of when I looked over and some people were done before I was, and I was like, oh, but at the end of the day, I feel very focused with my attention here with all of you and in this space. So.
Love it. Great, thank you. All right, lots and lots of really interesting learnings from it. All right, I think we are ready to, and appreciate everybody who shared, and it was great to have all the wonderful different perspectives. So, Daniel, would you like to take us through the next session?
Yeah, I just want to do a quick reflection on that. You know, the thing that happens for me every time I do that, I always think I don't need to ground, but it totally affected my personal energy. I know I'm super excited about that session and I go like a little fast and it brought me back down. So as a leader even, it helped me. So I just want to share that insight too, that today I needed it a little more because I was a little too excited, you know? So now I feel a little more grounded as well as a result. Just the breathing, slowing down your breath gets a little hard sometimes when we don't remember to do it. So just conditioning myself again and again this way with breathing is really powerful. So if you remember, we've done a couple of things in the chat. We had you share what your location you were dialing in from earlier today. That was called a chat storm. We're going to do another chat storm using the chat. This one will be a little different. So if you're ready, we're going to do it this way. For this next chat storm, you'll be sharing into the chat so we can get to know each other and also so that we can get to know you. And you're going to share one or two words here. We're going to give you your choices in the chat here. And Christine's going to paste those right now. You're going to share one of the following. What kind of coaching are you doing today? And it's going to be either you want to do coaching or you are doing it in one-on-ones, or you're doing it in group, or you're doing it in both. So Christine's pasting, you just paste into the chat yourself, type into the chat yourself what you're currently doing today. We've got a bunch of both here. Jason's also doing one-on-one for couples, so maybe it's one-on-two and groups. Both, a lot of people are doing groups. Almost everybody here is doing group already, which is great. You're in the right place. And I see Karen's also doing laser, which I assume just means laser coaching for individuals within a group. So great. So for everyone's done group in the past, currently doing one-on-one, great. Okay, so now that you've typed in your choices, what we just did, we call that a leading audience probe, where we learn about you, we learn who's gathered in front of us, and we learn about where you're at individually, but also you learn about each other and see am I in the right place? It helps the audience relate to each other and feel like they are in a place where they're surrounded by people that are like them. And we know that you're all about group coaching today because that's what the topic is, right? So we had a feeling that would happen, that a lot of people would say similar things. That being said, we'd like to try a little bit of Zoom functionality next. So if you could raise your digital hand in Zoom, not visually, but in Zoom, you can just go to the reactions button because they keep on moving this around. Raise your hand in Zoom and make sure that's working, and test it out with me right now. If everyone found the emojis.
Love it.
So again, you just go to reactions and click on the raise hand button that's in there. Okay, so people are getting it. Thank you for doing that. And while you have your hands still raised, this is the next activity. You're going to want to do some writing before we get into what we're going to do. So you just grab that pen to write with, and if you have your pen ready, just wave it around. You know, like show me that you got your pens. All right, great. Most people have their pens, and you can also journal on your a document if you want to on the keyboard. But here's the question I'm going to ask you, and Christine's going to paste this in the chat, which is, why is delivering great group coaching and online experiences important to you and your business? And we're going to have you journal for 30, 40 seconds here on that question. And then I'll tell you how we're going to share this in a moment. Just get a good idea as we wrap up that thought. I'll phase out the music. All right. So you probably got your thoughts started. You'll be thinking about it a little more as I tell you what you're going to do with it. We're now going to have all of our members here share their about 30 seconds of an answer to that question. And we're going to share using a technique which we call pass the ball. And we have a couple of twists on this. So each person will name the next person who has their Zoom hand raised. So the second person who receives the ball and every person after that will start by acknowledging or appreciating something that was just shared by the person before them. And then take your 30 seconds to answer the question for yourself too, and then pass the ball again. Now, if you're not ready to share, it's okay. You can put your hand down, or you can leave it up if you're ready to share, and you can just pass the ball if you're not quite ready to share. That's okay. All you got to do is say pass, and I'll pass it for you. Or if you can't see the digital hand, say pass when you're done, and I will pass it for you. But you can also just pass to the person that you want to put in next. Either way, what we're gonna do is first person's gonna answer the question and pass the ball, and then we'll continue from there. So Christine has pasted the question in the chat in case you forgot what it is. So, and Christine, as we go here, Christine's going to capture a brief distilled version of what you said in the chat so we can all see that. And it's okay, Christine, if you have any typos or whatever. I know you're typing and keeping up fast. It's totally fine. So I'm looking for someone who's got their hand raised with a big smile in their face. It looks like Christy is going to be first here because I saw that smile just now, Christy. So why don't you go ahead and answer the question for us first, and we'll go from there.
Great. Yeah, smiling is not something that I do too little of during the day. So why is delivering group coaching and online experiences important to me in my business? In a nutshell, is because I have a burning desire to truly help and serve people. And so the best way for me to be able to do that is delivering a great group coaching and online experience so that they want to come back and do more and be fed more. And so it's really as simple as that. And I will go to who is next in line here, and that would be Grant for me.
All right, Grant, before you go, just remember, start with appreciating something about what Christy just said, and then share your answer in under 30 seconds. And while we do that, Christine is obviously continuing to type those in so we can remember what was shared after. So go ahead, Grant, if you're ready, and unmute yourself. Grant, you are muted.
You may have had to step away, so maybe we should pass it over to Jason.
All right. Yes, thank you, Rob. Go ahead, Jason. Appreciate
All
it.
right. What I really appreciated about what Christy said was that word serve, and coaching others with a heart of service is huge. So Christy, awesome. I resonate with that. For me, it's very meaningful to me to help people improve their lives and or break through a pain point that they're going through. And I'll pass the ball to Rabbi Ezra.
Thank you, Jason. I don't know why you only want to focus on pain, but I appreciate you for helping everybody with their pain. And you know, I'm not against helping people with their pain, but I like helping them get pleasure as well. Although generally they pay me to solve pain, not to get pleasure. It's an odd thing. You would think they would pay for pleasure. Okay, anyhow. So thank you for that, Jason. I appreciate that. My answer to the question is in order to increase impact, reach, and save time.
Great, thank you.
Thanks. I got to pass it to somebody. Monica, my sister Monica, where is she? Or
Monica,
not?
you are available.
I knew you were going to do that. I knew you were.
She was prepared. She's really my sister.
Yes, you are my brother. And I appreciate the fact that you do want to have a lot of impact and be able to expand your reach, and that there's a recognition of the ability to scale with group and get to more people, and that it reaches more people and saves time. I think both for the coach and for the people being coached, because not only do they have the perspective of the coach, they have the insights from other people and the experiences of other people to also learn from. And I would say something very similar is that I think I've definitely learned a lot more and had more breakthroughs in group environments where I'm able to see what other people are going through and how they're being coached, so that I can relate something to my own life. And I certainly want to create that experience for other people, in addition to the rich community that group coaching enables. And I will pass it to, I'm driving, sorry. I will pass it to Kimberly.
Thank you. I want to just acknowledge you for understanding the breadth and depth that, and articulating the breadth and depth that group coaching could bring, and how we find ourselves in those groups, and that your experience, your own personal experience of the power of that is informing your desire to continue to grow and get better at group coaching. So I'm pursuing group coaching because of the value that it brings to my to the leaders I coach. They discover they're not alone in their challenges, and through this group coaching experience, they have not only gotten value from the coaching that I bring, but it is elevated exponentially by the contributions of everyone else who's on the calls with us and in the program with us, and then as well as the value that they get from providing input to the other people who are on there who are like-minded. And so I find that highly valuable, and to be of greater service to those people that I'm here developing, and takes a lot of the burden off of me to have to help them find all their insights. They kind of self-discover along with each other. So along with that, I will pass it off to Sharon.
Hi, I didn't have my hand up, but
I'm sorry.
That's okay. This is great. So I feel like I said it before. I want to appreciate you first for your eloquence in sharing with us about the coaching and why it's so important to you. I I just am so excited about impact, like some things that have already been said. I want to make an impact. I am shifting over from my leadership coaching to selling books and writing books about my story, which I think can have even bigger impact. I can coach a few people at a time. You'll help me coach more, but I can reach more with a book where I don't even have to be around. So I'm reaching into that. It's a tender thing, writing about my own stories. So I'm excited to bring that more to life with the group coaching rather than just the book. It's a way to build the audience, which are new words to me. Thank you. And I'll pass it to Grant.
Thank you, Sharon. So I'm also writing a book about my own story, and the word tenderness is a great one. I was just saying to my author coach, I can't wait to write a book that doesn't give me nightmares at night. So I definitely can appreciate that. And I am doing group coaching because I love the way that the community can support each other. And I find that my clients are, while they've been somewhat accountable to me, the accountability that they feel to the community is 10x. And that accountability keeps them connected to the coaching work between our sessions at a way higher rate. And it's so much more likely that they do the work between sessions than when I have that experience in one-on-one. So that's what I would say. And I wanted to say also that I love what Monica said as well. I really think that she had some great points about kind of that community, and I really loved that. Janice, I'd love to hear from you.
Thank you, Grant. I'm so excited you picked me because I love what you said. I love how you highlighted the communal support that comes with group coaching, as well as the 10x factor that group coaching brings to accountability. My program is a group program, and I started with a group program. We just started bringing in one-on-one. And what I know that why I think great group coaching is important is because it eliminates distractions and increases retention. I've found there are a lot of distractions and a lot of groups we can be a part of, but if it's a great group, then it eliminates all the other groups that I want to be a part of, and I want to stick with this group. So for my business, it'll increase retention. Oh, and I'm going to pass it to, okay, whose hand is still up? Oh, and I love Sharon that you said your hand wasn't raised. That just blessed me. Thank you. Hold on.
You got Fairborn left if you can see it.
Okay, Fairborn. Okay, I'll pass it to you.
Oh my gosh, Janice. Just light bulbs going off for everything everyone says, total goat. But Janice, I just in 4 words, eliminate distraction, increase retention. Boom, just right there. But I have to say, talk about GOAT. Christy, service. Jason, breakthroughs, creating breakthroughs for your clients. It gave me like willy-nilly. Rabbi Ezra, impact. That's one of my words. So thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And Monica, total right there, right at the top, my top 5, scaling. And Kimberly, oh my gosh, it's like the list is like took half the page. But this idea that it takes the burden off of you. And that's actually one of the first things that I thought about. One, group coaching for me is fun. That's the number one thing. Keeps me on my edge or pushes me towards or over my edge. Learning my own personal development journey that I bring to my clients. And Sharon, good luck and tenderness. That's good luck with your book. And that's the tenderness part is something that I need a reminder of sometimes. So thank you. And Grant, accountability. Not only did you say it's about accountability and 10xing your community, but it keeps them engaged between the sessions. So that sort of dovetails into what Janice was saying about the retention. So in addition to the scalability and the social learning that you were all talking about, impact. I think of group coaching and coaching in general as my chance to make my community a better place to be in, one person, one group at a time. So thank you, everyone. I love your insights.
Thank you, Fairborn. I really appreciate how you appreciated everybody. That was awesome. Didn't expect that. You're taking good notes, and just for everybody, I hope you're taking good notes on what you're hearing and learning today. What we just did is called a purpose question. And we also use the technique of pass the ball, and we added plus appreciation into it. And we got to cover so many of what you wanted to, so many answers that you provided to that question, which is why it's important to you. So I just want to take a moment and debrief that activity, just a couple minutes here. The purpose question helps your audience get enrolled into why they need to be here. But what was your experience of that activity that we just did? What did you notice? And what did you like? What would you improve? Whatever comes to you. Go ahead, Janice, and then we'll take Sharon.
Man, this was so rich. Thank you so much for this exercise. What it did is immediately connected the group. And it forced us to focus. So if we were distracted, because there's a possibility the ball is going to be passed to us, it hones in our focus. I love the appreciation. So now I'm not just looking at the screen, but I'm looking for the value. And then as a coach, it caused me to think about, Janice, why is this significant to you beyond what the surface is, beyond what you think, beyond the basics. So this is a really great exercise. And I didn't say this in the beginning, but I joined today because I have a group call on Saturday. And I'm like, this is so great, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I can do this totally. So thank you.
Yeah, now you know what it feels like and to do it. And you just identified some layers that are designed in here. So thank you for that, share, Janice.
Yeah.
How about you, Sharon?
Well, I wanted to raise my hand because the raising the hand, it was so interesting. I was sitting here distracted, right? Truth, sitting here distracted because I'm hungry and I got my banana sitting right there. And while the exercise was going on, I was like, can I go off camera and eat my banana real quick? So I wasn't listening the way I would have listened if my hand was raised. And another thing to notice is the magic of the group came forward then, because Kimberly called on me anyway, even though my hand wasn't raised. It was magic because I realized, wow, I didn't listen. So I made up some crap. You could tell I didn't listen because I didn't say anything specific about what she said. So I was like, my own inauthenticities. Why don't you just tell them you wanted to eat your banana? So there's all this going on, right? As a participant, I got to experience it, to watch myself, watch my crap. And Kimberly works with leaders. So do I. Okay, so this is the magic. And then afterward, I picked Grant out of the blue, and Grant is writing a book. So am I. So that was just, it brought up the magic that I've seen in this group coaching world, where we somehow get what we need. And, even if we don't want to show up, we show up. So that's my share.
Sharon, thank you for being totally vulnerable with us. And I really appreciate that. It's such a great learning point for everybody, and being willing to use your example there and just call it out. And we all just learned something really valuable from you. Thank you. And that's going to enhance how we think about this activity in the future too. So I appreciate that. And you both called out some really powerful things we've designed in here, and some things that we didn't even realize were maybe even designed in there, as Sharon just pointed out. So thank you for participating in our Pass the Ball activity. Rob?
Yeah, and I'll just share two things. One for Janice, please, whatever any of you see in the session today, please take it and run with it in your own group coaching sessions. If you've got one tomorrow or on Saturday, jump in on it. And yes, I wanted to acknowledge Sharon for authenticity modeling, because that actually creating a safe space within a group program is so important. Eating bananas is fine, by the way. But just beyond that, just showing up and being safe to be yourself is one of the highest values you can have in a group so that everyone can show up. So what we're going to be transitioning into next, we've heard from a lot of people on why group coaching is important to them. And we're going to be sharing some of the things that often derail people from doing group coaching. Some of the reasons why it's like they think, I'm going to do this, but I'm not really ready to start for whatever reason. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask some graduates of our Surefire program some of the things that they believed about group coaching before they took the Surefire program, and then what do they see as possible now. And we didn't give them any suggestions. We just let them know that we might be calling on them. So we're going to give them the opportunity to do the digital hand raise so that they can share it. But I'll just call on any of the graduates who have taken the Surefire program. What was a myth that you believed about group coaching before, and what do you see as possible for you now that you've gone through that program? And I see Christy's hand is up, and then we'll call on Kimberly. Go ahead, Christy.
Yeah, and I think that's, first of all, that's a great question. And it really made me think, actually, which is always good in my opinion. But I think one of the things that surprised me is that I think I had a preconceived idea that, you know, I've shared pretty openly that one of my personal roadblocks was the fact that I needed to have structure and checklists, and that, you know, that I felt like that was limiting me from being able to move forward. And I think what I've discovered through going through Surefire and then beyond that with the mastermind is that it's actually the opposite that is creating the freedom for me. It's the opposite, that it's the creativity and the fact that, yes, the structure is there. That absolutely is there. The structure is there. The checklists are that's all there. But the creativity that can be created within that structure, that to me is where I am starting to come alive. And because I'm coming alive, then the group is coming alive. I hope that makes sense. And so that to me was actually one of the biggest ahas, or things that, you know, I had a set of expectations, and then I got something not completely different, because there's still structure, but completely different than what my worldview was. And so that's been a big thing for me.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah. Really powerful share. Kimberly.
So given what I just shared, this will sound very funny. Back in September, I was in 1.0, I think 1.0, and then I did 2.0, and I've been in the mastermind ever since. And Robert got me into 1.0 really kicking and screaming. I was probably I would think I was one of your more resistant. I was like, yeah, right, prove it. And my myth was that my one-on-one coaching, and I've been doing it for a long time, I've been certified for a long time, and then I've added to those certifications. So my one-on-one with leaders has been highly impactful. I mean, there's no doubt about that. And I just didn't believe that I could take what I do one-on-one and deliver the value in a group. And where's Janice? I just typed somebody. She's like my twin flame, because what you just said is like what I said. I think within the first session of Surefire, I was like, okay, I'm game. I can see how I can play with this. And it was because, just to piggyback on Christy, it's because of the structure that you gave me. You gave me a pathway with which to create this using what I do. I already know is really great and all that stuff, but how to bridge from one-on-one to group. And, you know, later on, if we're sharing any form of success stories on here, I will tell you that it has changed the direction of my business. It has created vertical growth, and it has expanded my capacity and allowed me to have more personal time. And it's been phenomenal. And like I said, I think now it qualifies as giving birth to a child, because 9 months ago, I was like, no way, this just can't do it. So there you go.
I love that. And I must say, we have never heard that comparison before. So Maybe some of us can relate, Daniel, particularly as a new father. So thank you for that. Grant, jump on in.
I love that. I would say for me, I assumed that group coaching would be a downsell, if you want. It would be a watered down, weakened version of what I like to deliver and the experience that the client gets. And that is so untrue. As I shared earlier, really, it's exponentially more powerful for folks. I had a group session on Tuesday that I just I don't know how to, when I do my one-on-one sessions, I love it, and it drains me sometimes. It's really intense and tough, and for some reason after the group sessions, I'm just buzzing after them, and they fill me with energy. And I know that but the part that's cool about that is, of course, it's not about me. But the part that's cool is that energy is transferring, is what's happening. And so the reason I feel that way is that the participants are bouncing off of each other. And, right now I just have a small group of 4. So there's 5 of us in this session. So it's very little. It's not like there's a ton of people to bounce energy from, but it's just growing and growing. And it's just the opposite of what he thought. And so it's very powerful. And I heard the word impact and service a lot from your shares. And it's just a greater impact than I ever could have imagined. So I could go on and on, but I'm not going to. I think Tom wants to speak.
All right, great. Jump on in, Tom.
Hey, thanks, Grant. There's a couple things I wanted to share. One is, when I came in at first, I thought my whole concept of group coaching was laser coaching one-on-one while a group of people kind of observed, and you don't know if they're getting value or not. Are they getting bored? They're not, or they're disappointed because you're not paying attention to them. And then I discovered there's a different way of doing laser coaching called Advanced Connected Hot Seat, which allows the group to participate. And even better, the person who's on the hot seat gets the benefit of multiple perspectives. So it's much more effective in my mind than just plain laser coaching. And then the other thing I wanted to point out is that was surprising to me is, like, it isn't just group coaching. It's if you lead any group, these techniques can really help. And what I love about it is not only getting group perspective and value from the group, but you build a whole sense of community. And I think there's a lot of craving for community in our culture right now. So I really feel like it's really valuable from that perspective as well. And that was a little bit surprising for me.
Love
Jason.
that. Yeah, cool.
Thanks, Tom. Tom's been a huge help to me personally with Kajabi, on a side note. Thank you, Tom. Before I met Rob and Daniel, I'll tell you what, you guys, I was so intimidated by group coaching, the thought of it. One-on-one, I felt safe. In a group, I just felt super intimidated, like I can't do this. My myth was that I have to somehow lead this group, personally touch everybody in the group, and somehow say the right thing to impact each person's life. And it's just not true, because what's even more powerful is they learn from each other. They learn more from each other. And like Grant was sharing a moment ago, there's more energy with the group and that community feel. What Rob and Daniel did was give me the tools. So I felt equipped, and feeling equipped, I felt empowered. And now all of a sudden, oh my gosh, I could do groups, and I love it. So thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for showing up, doing it. So Carolyn, you can take us home.
Okay. Wow, I loved what everybody said. I especially like what Jason just said, like when you're equipped, you're empowered. Yeah, that's it in a nutshell. So I appreciate what Christy said about the structure, like she wanted some structure. And I was the opposite of that coming in. I'm like, how hard can it be? Come on. You get a group together, you get on, you throw out some things, you do some coaching and wham, bam, it's done. But I have done live trainings for years. So then COVID came and everything went online. So I'm not live in a room with people anymore. I'm live on Zoom with them. And so I have used so many of these tools with what I'm doing. I haven't started my official group coaching yet, but I do a lot of group stuff online with my healing practitioners that I train. And so I have used so many of your tools, and so I went from how hard can it be? What's the big deal? It doesn't have to be that serious or that complicated, to watching you guys and watching the debriefs. Sorry, my heater's really loud here. Watching the debriefs and going, oh, wow, every little nuance matters. Everything makes a difference in how you do it. How much more impactful could my groups be if I pay attention to these guys and add in these things that I thought, oh, what's the big deal? It is a big deal. Like just learning every one of these little tools and activities, and what you say leading up to an activity and what not to say, and like all of that. It's been just enlightening for me, and I'm excited to get going with it and do even more with the tools. So that's what I have to say. So thank you.
Love it. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you everybody for sharing that. Rob, do you mind if I just ask, like, how many people here had a shift just based on what was shared from the myths and misconceptions that people had? Any attendees have some shifts just now around what other people said? Yeah. So
I'll say I learned things. I learned things that I hadn't thought of. Like, wow, okay, great.
Totally.
So appreciate that.
I was just thinking, like, I'm feeling shifts in myself about what people are saying. So thank you everybody for sharing. Really appreciate that.
Yeah.
So that being said, we've kind of heard like what has changed for people through some of the things we've taught in the Surefire program. But where I'd like to go next is sort of do a little bit of teaching about one of our super core frameworks. You may or may not have heard us teach this before if you've been following us for some time, but it's the 3 Ds of group coaching. How many people here have heard of the 3 Ds of group coaching? I know you Surefire members obviously know what I'm talking about, but the 3 Ds of group coaching. Okay, so I want to do that. I'd like to share that next, and I'll do a quick screen share. And here, I'm gonna start with this. And I just want to point out what we've been doing. How many people feel like they've been learning something today? You know, and so this is a quote I want to share, that learning is not the product of teaching. It is the product of the activity of the learners. That's by John Holt, who is an American educator and proponent of homeschooling and other forms of education. So I just want to share that slide because what we're doing today, we're not just teaching you, you're participating, you're doing some activity that you're learning from. We're barely really saying anything, to be honest. So so I want to talk about the 3 Ds of group coaching. So you can all see this, right? Anybody?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Great. So I want to start with the focal point of this framework, which is what is the outcome that we're creating in our group sessions. And so the purpose of the purpose of this framework is to help you understand that you're creating gates for people. And this is an acronym, and it stands for something. We want the experiences you build to be group experiences. We want them to be authentic to you and to them. We want it to be transformational for your members so that they make progress and get results from it. And we want it to be experiential and be a fun process that they can really feel the experience, not just gain information. And Christine will be pasting these in the chat as we go. So if Christine, you can paste this so you don't have to worry about capturing it right away. So that's what we're doing. We're basically in the process of creating a gate. This session for you today is a gate. It's a group authentic, transformational, and experiential event where you're going to create progress and results for yourself. I know somebody already mentioned, hey, I'm going to take this stuff and use it on Saturday. So yeah, we are obviously already achieving kind of the purpose today, which is moving you forward. So that brings us to, like, how do you do that? How do you build an experience like this? How do you create that gate for your members? Well, there's 3 big parts of that. The first part is the first D of our 3 Ds, which is design. And there it is. And so when I talk about design, I would love to hear in the chat, if you guys could all type into the chat, why do you think design is important? Why is designing your sessions important? Can you just answer that in the chat? I'd like to see what people say. Right, Kimberly, this is where I prepare Sarah for the outcome. Sharon, to think about the why and the how. Jason, it leads to purposeful coaching. Monica, setting intentions. Christy, forces me not to procrastinate until right before I start. Yes, love that. Just come right out and say it. We all feel that. Tom.
Not that any of us have ever done that. Just say.
Setting a desired outcome and a meaningful experience. And there's probably more answers coming in. Thank you for all those people who are thinking about this question right now. So design is important for all the reasons you say. And so what we talk about design, the way we define it is what you're doing in design is you're crafting powerful. I was just in the wrong order. This is the older version of the slide. So I'm going to wreck the surprise. I copied the wrong slide, but it's the same information. The purpose of design, the definition for us is crafting powerful, participant-centered, and authentic transformational group experiences. And Christina will paste the updated version in the chat here for you of this slide. And so that brings us to our second D. And I'm sure you've all had something go wrong in group sessions before if you've delivered them. Our second D is delivering group sessions. And I would love to hear in the chat, why is it really important to deliver your sessions really well? Just go ahead and share what how you answer that question. Why is it important to deliver your sessions well? Starting to see some answers here. Jason, creates and maintains engagement. Tom, creating value for the participants and so it's worth the time investment. Great point. Kimberly, so that my participants get what they need and what they came for. Monica, gain trust of participants. Sarah, positive emotional experiences. Christy, so that the members receive the most impact. I'm sure more answers are going to come in. Thank you for those. Yes, all of these are true. And the definition that we like to talk about when it comes to delivering is confidently leading authentic and transformational group experiences that create results and progress for your participants, for your members. And so Christina's going to paste that in there as well. And that's the second D. How many people can feel that we're actively doing that right now? We're actually in the process right now of delivering a session, and we are confidently leading authentic and transformational group experiences. We're creating results and progress for the members. That's what we're doing. How many people can feel that already in this session? Right, I can see some of you in the chat there, so thank you for noticing that. And so let's go to the third D. And so, you may have watched yourself on a recording of yourself doing coaching. That's how I originally started debriefing without knowing what it was. And because the third D is the debrief, right? It's when you, and I'll just give you the definition here, you consistently and intentionally review your performance. And that's so you can up-level your skills and abilities and get better and better very quickly. And it's surprising to me how valuable the debrief becomes, because what we've learned, and one of the things we didn't even realize we were doing this, we would debrief our sessions with our members of the program, and it led to really, really powerful learning. And we're going to do some of that debriefing today for this session, so you can experience that debrief later on today. We're going to talk about the session itself, and we're going to show you how that accelerates your learning. So, Rob, did I miss anything about this framework? Oh, I forgot to put the last definition up there, but that's okay. You all have it in the chat there. Rob, did I miss anything that you wanted to mention before we continue on?
Yeah, I think the only thing that I would add to it is the debrief. When we had the cycle originally created, the debrief was a little bit of an afterthought for us. And we realized that the debrief is actually the single most important part of the entire session. And that it actually was a surprising discovery from us, that the debriefs became the place where we were able to develop higher levels of mastery. sometimes it's hard. I mean, even just, you probably know this as a coach, your coach trainer often recommends go back and listen to your replays, reflect, take a couple minutes and journal or reflect on what it is that you're doing. And I would be like, yeah, okay, whatever, I'm just going to write it for a few minutes. It was actually the richness that we got from the debriefs. And if you can develop a way of doing it where you're getting authentic feedback from the participants themselves, and there's ways we teach you to do that in a Surefire program, no matter what the group is. Obviously, when we're doing it with coaches, we get a real richness of debriefs, but even with normal people who are coaching for other reasons, you can get a level of honest feedback by making it safe for them that is rocket fuel for the progress that you can make in leveling up your coaching. And it was interesting because we even did that with this session. So between, as I mentioned, we did a workshop last week, and then we've done another workshop this week. And the improvements that we're making to this session were a direct result of all the feedback we got in the last session. And one of the things that was really unique about the last session, we loved it. By the way, we never intentionally try to mess up the session, but the thing that was beautiful about it is that we did a couple of things that weren't ideal, and we let people tell us about it in the debrief, and then they saw us changing, they saw us accepting it. So what happens is sometimes in a session, you might do something that accidentally reduces trust of the participants, or maybe creating an unsafe situation where people don't feel good about the way the session went. And if you can let go of your ego and really be authentic and accept that, it enables you to completely rebuild that trust. In fact, maybe even go beyond the trust that was lost. Because when your participants see you listening to their feedback, accepting it with grace, and then changing as a result of the feedback they've given you, it actually builds a greater sense of community and trust. So even though all three of those are needed to be successful, design, deliver, debrief, you've got to get good at all of those. We've realized that the debrief actually is far more important than we realized.
Yeah, and that was a surprise as well. So
yeah.
Thanks for sharing that, Rob. Just quick show of hands. You can put up a 1, a 2, or a 3. Design is number 1, deliver is number 2, and debrief is number 3. Which one for you needs work right now? Or more than one,
Yeah, maybe you could put 4 in if you want them all.
Put 2 hands up, 2. Yeah, sorry, there's not enough if you have all 3. You can also put it in the chat. Maybe that's. Thank you, people putting in the chat, for helping me with that instruction. Yeah, so some people are saying number 1, number 3, number 3, number 3. Yeah, I mean, for all of them, Fairborn. Yeah, that's actually true. Even Robin and myself, we both know. Like, we always need to up level on all 3, but sometimes there's one where like, oh, I need to work on that because that's going to make the difference. So, but all of them is also true for all of us in different ways. So, thank you for playing along in the chat with us. All right, so that being said, what we'd like to do next is just really briefly, we've sort of shared a little bit about our core framework. What we haven't done yet. And this is something that was shared with us in the last workshop. We didn't share a little bit about ourselves and why we work together, and why this work is the work that we're doing today. So maybe we'll take just a couple minutes here, Rob, and do that. I'll just start off because some of the things I love about Rob. One is that he has this like gigantic heart, and he connects at such a deep emotional level with people. It always inspires me all the time, and I see that playing out all the time as he connects with individuals and groups, and it helps me level up. And something I love about Rob is his ability to experience deep joy. Like some of the stuff I remember doing this, but we've been on sessions together, and a dog will walk into the room and do something really funny, and Rob's in. We can't see the dog, but we always see Rob just totally lose it and crack up. And be like, oh my gosh, he couldn't even speak, is so funny, and so like Rob allows his joy to fill himself up, and it's just really inspiring to me. Like, I want to be more like that. So I love that. I've become a better human just by learning from Rob's just really beautiful way of being. And I just really respect his values. They're very similar to mine. And he's just a model of safety, trust, reliability. I don't think I've ever been let down by Rob. I'm pretty sure I've disappointed him, disappointed you, Rob, on an occasion as well. But he's never disappointed me or let me down ever. And just Rob, he knows how to read someone's heart and speak straight to them. And I'm always, getting this positive warm energy from Rob. So I really truly appreciate that. And his design ability is off the charts. Like when we're designing a session, I'm like, oh, I would design this way. He's like, what about this? I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, that's exactly what we should be doing. What am I thinking? So I just learned so much from you, Rob. And it's just a gift to have you be the kind of business partner that I really value. So that's Rob.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. And I could share a little bit about Daniel. One of the things, so like Daniel says, so I love laughing at things and having just the pure joy and the fun of it. But Daniel is just really funny. And like one of the things that I've enjoyed, even just working in partnership with him, is that we just have fun together. Like, even though we're building something that has deep, important meaning to us in terms of the impact we're making on the world. It also feels like we're just hanging out, having a great time, which is like the best work experience possible when you can be working and it doesn't feel like work. The other thing that I really appreciate about Daniel is he's just unbelievably creative. He, at the very beginning of this, so like as he said, I feel super comfortable in design, but he would be naming things like gates, and I'm like, what's this naming? Like, do we have to name everything? Do we have to create a framework around everything? And at first I thought it was hokey, and I'm not sure I even told Daniel that I thought it was hokey. And then suddenly I realized it's like, whoa, this is not only not hokey, this is necessary, because having those very clear frameworks and having those acronyms makes it super simple to remember the key principles and the frameworks we're teaching, because there's a lot of them. I mean, now we have a library of over 100 different tools and plays. And if you don't have a framework and an acronym for it, you're not going to remember that. So I've been really appreciative of that. He is really good at making experiences exceptional. It's one of the things Carolyn was talking about, the care and the thought that goes into the participant experience. And I've never seen anyone do a better job of, like, as we go through this exercise, what are people going to be feeling? What are they going to be doing? What are they going to be experiencing? Is this going to create that powerful transformation for them? And then, the other thing that's really important is that he's just a really good coach, and we've both, through the course of our partnership, I imagine everybody's experienced the same thing. You just feel like, I can't do this anymore. And we've been able to coach each other actively as we're on sessions together and lift each other up and support each other. So those are some of the few things I could probably go on and on that I appreciate about Daniel.
Yeah, Rob, that just, I haven't heard you describe it yet. So thank you for that. Really it makes me feel really good. And I just really appreciate the partnership. And, the partnership that we have has come a long way. Maybe I'll just really briefly share it, Rob. Like, why don't you share really briefly how we came together and how this all got created?
Yeah, the reason that this came together, it was really funny, because I'm sure all of you remember back to the pandemic. And I remember this distinctly. I was living in Monterey, California, and literally I was walking in a graveyard overlooking the ocean. So you can't make this stuff up. I was walking in a graveyard overlooking the ocean, and I was losing my shit, because here I was, the extrovert, and was told you can't go outside, you can't touch anyone. So I just started calling friends that I had met along the way in my coaching journey. And Daniel was one of those friends that I was talking about. And I made a comment to him. I said, Daniel, I think I'm capable of building a business alone, but I hate it and I don't want to do it anymore. And Daniel said, oh my God, me too. I don't want to do it anymore. And we just said in that moment, hey, do you want to work together? And I'm like, yeah. We didn't even know what we were going to work on, literally at the beginning. And we actually had started out thinking we were going to work on a real estate mastermind. And because we'd both been facilitating a lot of events in the real estate world. And what happened organically was, over the course of time, in one of the coach groups that we were part of, one member said, how do I move from a one-on-one model to a group model? And I'm like, oh, well, you just combine the choreographing conversations, facilitation skills, whatever you want to call it, with coaching, And that's how you can move from a one-to-one model to a group model. It's super simple. So I said that in the group. 47 other coaches raised their hands and like, hey, I need that help too. Can you help me with that? And I said, okay, change of plans. We're going to do a Zoom meeting. Anyone who wants to jump on the meeting is free to. And so we had 30 or so of the 47 that raised their hand jump on the Zoom call. And they're like, oh my gosh, I need this. And so then that turned into a 4-hour training program, which turned into a mastermind, which then turned into the Surefire program. So that's really how the entire program came to be. It was really just an organic coming together of the relationship between Daniel and myself. And then secondly, a need that was expressed by coaches to figure out how to really get good at group coaching, and realizing that the journey I had taken in developing the choreographing conversations / facilitation skills and coaching could be used very successfully for that.
Yeah, thank you, Rob. And I feel like when we started the real estate, it was such a hard slog. We weren't passionate enough about the real estate world. And the second we started working with coaches, we were like totally on fire. And I know I always one time I said like I don't want to coach coaches. I want to coach real people. But I realized like coaches are totally real people and they need our support too. And then it clicked and I was like, wow, this is like so fulfilling. And it's really like we can see this being sustainable. So I just really appreciate Rob for creating that first Zoom meeting and listening, and here we are. So pretty awesome for me to bring my group leading background and my coaching background and my corporate background. And both Rob and I have a lot of business background as well. I know Rob, you built a $200 million company. I don't know if anybody knows that on this call, but like there's a lot of good business background in the background of what we do too. So it really serves to combine all that for both of us. So that being said, I think we've shared enough about ourselves. And what we want to do one more activity here next. And this next activity, we'll have you do a little bit of journaling, and we're going to do a very unique type of journaling. And we're going to use the keyboard here, but I'll tell you what that means in a second. Is everybody ready to jump into this next activity? Just a show of hands. All right. So for those of you who are off video, you can stay off video for this, or you can come back on video, whatever you prefer, because it'll work either way. And what we're going to do in a moment, we're going to share a very special link, and that link will take you to a journaling form. And what we're doing is something we call a form journal. It's a little tool you can use in your own group coaching too. And this form journal is useful for when you want your members to do some journaling. But maybe you want them to do it in a way that you follow a guided path of the journaling, multiple questions, and you don't mind them seeing the upcoming questions. So when you go to the link that we're going to post in a moment, you'll see a few questions. And for the first for the 4 questions we're going to give you about 4 minutes to journal on them. So maybe a little more on the first question, but 4 minutes total for 4 questions. And we'll share the first question, and then we'll post the link for you to get started. You'll have 4 minutes to answer all the questions. And use the form if you can. If it isn't working for you for some reason on the technical side, then just journal it on paper. You have your paper, that's fine too. Or you can do a document on your computer. And Christine will paste the questions for those of you who can't get the form journal to work. But for everybody who is going to click on this link, you should be able to get access to it and fill it in. So here's the first question we're going to ask you, and we'll share the link to this. The other questions will just flow naturally from there, as you'll see on the form journal when it comes up. So just imagine a year from now, you have a thriving group and you're creating transformation for that group. And it's everything you could have dreamed of, and it's more. It's just so amazing. And imagine yourself also getting really excited by who you get to be, just being yourself, an authentic leader of that group. And that's what your group loves about it. What does your life look like now, and how does it feel? That is the first question. What is your life like now after imagining that? So we're going to paste the link. And if you finish before the time's up, then just keep on clarifying your answers. And for those of you who can't access it, again, we're going to put that in the chat. So Christine, can you share the instructions, the form journal link in the chat? And what I'd like you to do all is just follow that link and start your 4 minutes on that form journal. And Christine, you can also paste the questions in the chat for those who may have a problem accessing it. All right, so I want you to take a few minutes and journal on these questions as you see them in the chat. Just about a minute on each on average. And Rob will give us a little bit of music as we get started. a minute and a half in, keep working. Maybe move to question 2 if you haven't already. A minute left. Keep on going. Keep on wrapping up those thoughts now as we finish our journaling activity. All right, and as the music fades away, thank you for journaling with everybody during that activity. And whatever level of clarity you've reached, it's an iterative process, clarity is. So just click on submit and you can do it now. You'll get a copy of your answers via email. And we'll even be able to see those as we continue to support you. We can get to know you even better. So I'll give you a second to do that. I see some of them coming in right now, which is great. All right. I just want to ask a couple of questions, a couple of verbal shares on a particular question, because everybody came here today, and hopefully you feel a little bit clearer after that activity. You know, do you feel a little bit clearer after that activity, that journal? Did we add any? Who did we add clarity to? You of you. So I wanted to ask, you all came here today and you chose to spend some time with us, and we thank you for that and for your faith in us. I wanted to ask one question and get a couple of verbal shares here again. And here, I'll paste the question in the chat for you as well. Why did you feel that now was the right time for you to invest in your own vision of group coaching? You just journaled on your vision and you're here today, spending your time with us. So why is now the right time for you to be doing that? And I would love to just hear a couple of shares on that. Maybe take a minute, think about that, a moment here, think about that. And when you're ready, raise your hand if you're ready to share that. Why is now the right time for you to be investing in your own vision of group coaching? And we'll start with Sarah, and anybody else who'd like to raise their hand, we'll take maybe one more.
The biggest reason is I deal with youth and teenagers, and their need to be heard is the primary reason to really gain this knowledge, and then allow them to utilize it as well, train them to do it as well, so they can create those connections and that sense of belonging and feeling like you can be authentic about yourself. And that's what they're wanting. I went to the whole child advisory panel meeting yesterday, and 2 teenagers presented their own leadership program, and they outlined all those things that we've been discussing so very well articulated too. I was so impressed by them that, you know, we need to extend that and make it more accessible. So that's the biggest reason why, and to support the leaders as well where I can.
Right. So it sounds like this is very, very timely for you in that with the team. Got it.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for sharing that. And Rob, am I forgetting anything, or should we continue on?
Yeah, no, I think you got everything covered.
All right. Why don't you continue?
All right. So just by a show of hands, who likes some of the tools that we've shared with you so far today? You can just raise your physical hand on that. Great, thank you. So, and all of these are from the Surefire group coaching system, which we mentioned. I think some of you talked about going through version 1, version 2. We're getting to version 3 right now. And we've really just scratched the tip of the iceberg so far. I mean, this is just the beginning. As I said, there's hundreds of frameworks, exercises, plays that you can do. So by a show of hands, who would like to have more of these plays? I'd like to get some more support in doing this. So, great, thank you. Well, yeah, you know, I think as Daniel and I were sharing earlier, that what this is really is the culmination of our life's work so far. It's combining the coaching skills and the choreographing conversation skills and how to guide groups in powerful transformational experiences. It's something that's really deeply meaningful, I think, both to Daniel and I. Like we get to share with each other a lot of times. It's like, oh my God, we get to do something that is just like everything we've done in our lives up to this point has brought us the ability to be able to deliver something like this. And I think it's really important for us because the key for us is to help the helpers. As Daniel said, originally we were thinking, oh, I don't want to coach coaches. But Ezra said this earlier in the session, coaches are the most real people, but there's also something even more important about coaches. They're the helpers in the world. And when you think about everything that's going on in the world, the division, the chaos, the stress that people are under, we need more helpers, a lot more helpers. And so by us being able to help the helpers, that's like fulfilling a life mission. It's just something that's deeply personally meaningful to us. And that's why we're so honored that you're here with us right now, investing in yourself so that you can turn around and make a bigger difference in the world by getting your work out into other people. So this is something that's been very important to us. It's something that we're not giving up on. And I don't know if you're like us, you know, where as an entrepreneur, as a coach, as somebody who's building your own business, you go through these periods where like maybe 3 or 4 times a week, you feel like, oh, you know, I don't know if I can do this anymore. And as I said, sometimes Daniel and I have been able to talk each other off a ledge, but hanging out, spending time in a group of powerful coaches is the thing that has been most powerful in helping us know that we're on the right track, that it's important for us to keep going. And if you're here on this call today, it shows that you're not giving up, that you're committed to making your difference in the world. And we really want to help you achieve your vision, your impact, and the difference that you're trying to make. One of the things that we have seen a lot is that coaches want to transform in a community. They want to learn together, they want to grow together, they want to share ideas with each other, and that they want to be focused on the same goal with each other. We've shared this a lot of times with people, which is a lot of the coaches are recognizing without a real sense of community, then coaching can feel like a commodity that you really need. You need that feeling of being in the journey with other people, and that's what makes you unique. The people make you unique. That sense of accountability makes you unique. And that's really what we're focused on in Group Coach Magic. We're focused on showing you how to build that transformational community. And so that we can spend time training coaches on the cutting edge of group coaching so that you can turn around and create a community so that everyone in your community is winning together. Everybody is creating a cycle of giving and receiving where you can see that upward spiral where people are jumping up and becoming more and more connected to each other, more and more connected to themselves, and more committed to progress. I think Jason shared that, which was really powerful, which was that it's easy as you as a coach for your clients to let down one person. But when you feel like you're part of a family, it's a lot harder for them to let down the entire family or the entire community that you're creating. So imagine for a moment if every day your group coaching didn't feel like work. And I think some of the people mentioned that they feel energized. I think Grant was mentioning earlier in the call, he actually feels energized coming off of group coaching calls where sometimes he can feel drained doing it on one-on-one. But what if that was your whole life? If every day it didn't feel like work, you felt like you were spending time with friends that you love, you were doing something that's meaningful together, what would that be different than the kind of experience that you might have today? And that's really why we created the Surefire group coaching system. One of the things that I'd love to ask you is, how many of you noticed that you're learning so much more than we actually seem to be teaching? Yeah, it's like we taught maybe 10 minutes in it. And that's one of the things that makes the Surefire experience so unique. It's the experiential nature of what we're doing. It's the embodiment of the tools that it almost guarantees that you're going to be able to learn everything that you're going through so that you can apply it, because you're just participating and you're transforming in the process of it. So I sense a lot of you said you wanted more of these tools, and Surefire is designed to bring you those tools. And really what we're doing is we're designing it so that we can take the theory, we could just give you, a particular playbook and say, here, do this, and it would have no meaning to you. But if we did it in such a way that you got to experience it, and then you could make the meaning and really know what it feels like, the embodiment of it, what the process looks like that you're experiencing first, and then you know how to use the tools that are in the toolbox and the playbook. It has a much deeper level of connection to you and your ability to use it. And it was funny because, you even demonstrated it right within the Zone program. We had members who said, I'm going to do this on my call on Saturday because that's the next step for me. So would people be interested in hearing a little bit more about what the Surefire is and the program? You can just do a little digital raise of hands. Great. Okay. So at its heart, Surefire is really an operating system for group coaching. And as we mentioned, one of the most unique aspects of it is that you're experiencing the tools first, and then we're handing you the tools second. And if you think about it, if we just handed you the playbook without that experience and practice, it would kind of be like riding a bike and trying to figure out how to do it by reading a book. And that doesn't work. You really need to be in it. You really need to know what it feels like. So here's a little bit about what we hope for you that you can get out of the Surefire group coaching system. So you're going from having no idea how to do group coaching to being able to expertly coach in groups, knowing exactly what to do. So from I have no idea what I'm doing to expertly coaching in groups. So going from stress and burnout and really an unsustainable pace of coaching to a more open schedule where coaching is fun again for you. To be able to go from a cap on your impact to being able to make the impact you want. Because there's only so many hours in the day. And if you're doing it one-on-one, you can only help so many people. And this way you can help a much greater number of people. And also going from it's all on me to knowing with confidence that my group supports each other while getting personal transformation for themselves. So now it doesn't have to feel heavy, doesn't have to feel tight on you. And then finally, it's going from just doing group coaching like everyone else to creating a truly immersive experience for yourself, for your members, in a way that differentiates yourself from other coaches. It's the thing that makes you unique. There's a lot of coaches in the world, but there's nobody else who will create the exact community and immersive experience the way you'll be able to do it with some of the tools that we're sharing in the Group Coaching Magic program. So a little bit about who this program is for. So it's for advanced coaches who are stuck in the one-to-one model, and you know it's not sustainable for you anymore. And you want to shift your focus from the one-on-one model to a group coaching model. And obviously, if any of you are on the call at this point, that's you. You want to do that. It's for coaches who are doing group coaching already, but you know that there's another level of transformation for you. There's another level of connection, another level of engagement and fun. And for your members, but maybe you're not quite sure how to create that. You know, one of the things that I realized is, as we've been talking to people who are really good and really accomplished at group coaching already, some of them don't even know what they're missing, because it's like it's going well enough, but there's another level. And very often we've shared one or two tweaks with them or one or two tools that we had from the Surefire program, like, oh my gosh, this is going to make it so much better. Carolyn talked a little bit about that, you know, that the amount of thought and planning that goes into it really makes the difference. And it's also for coaches who don't want to spend years or hundreds of sessions of trial and error learning what's effective. And we've already figured it out for you. So we've made the mistakes. We've run the hundreds of sessions. We've collaborated with hundreds of other coaches. And we've done it in such a way that we've captured the best of what works and distilled it into this program, which is really important for us. And it's also for coaches who want to 10x their results by collaborating with other advanced coaches. So we're going to be learning as much from you, and we always have with all of our members, as you learn from us. And it's for coaches who want to 4x or more their revenue, their impact through the leverage of group coaching. And if you want a more stress-free and open schedule with plenty of time for family, friends, fun, you know, get to live life, get to do what's important to you. And it's for coaches who would love their members to be the biggest fans and a frequent source of referrals for you. And finally, it's for coaches who subscribe to some of the group coaching myths that we talked about earlier, and you're ready to eliminate some of those limiting beliefs that I'm not good enough, or it's harder, or it's not a premium product, or any of the things that like, yeah, maybe I'm ready to shift that idea. And I'll share just a little bit about who it's not for. It's not for coaches who want to stick with the one-to-one model, or you don't have a plan to coach or lead groups. I can't imagine that anybody is on the call who's like, no, I want to do one-on-one. I'm stuck with it. You can't change me. But it's certainly not the easiest way to go as a coach. And it's also not for a coach who has no experience or training in the coaching field, or doesn't have any client in getting, doesn't have any experience in getting clients in the past. And it's also really not for learning junkies who don't intend to implement the things that we're teaching you, or who won't take action on what you're learning. And it's also not for anyone who won't get out in the field in the next 90 days and lead real world group coaching experiences during the program itself. We actually, in the Surefire program, have 2 capstone projects built into it. So you will get the chance to run a session based on the tools that you're doing, debrief them in the group with us, learn from them, and then have the opportunity to improve. So if you have no intention of actually doing the work, then this program probably isn't the right fit for you. And finally, it's for people who only want to take from others and not give to the cohort, or not give to the community that we curate with each other.
Yeah, and Rob, I'll add one more thing. We don't want the takers only in our groups, so we're very explicit about that. And the second last point here that I think we skipped was, if you're really attached to being that teacher, that one who's always sharing information, that is not really what we're doing. We're creating experiential, immersive environments. So if you just want to teach content only, you don't want to create group experiences, then this is not for you. Now, if you want to do some teaching and some group content, that's a different story. But we want to make sure that if you just expect to be a teacher, this is not the program that's going to help you do that better.
Exactly. Love it. Yeah. Thank you for catching all the, or at least one or two of the things that I may have missed. So great. Well, we will share a little bit about what the program schedule is and also what the investment is, because we know you probably are wondering both of those particular topics. So the investment for the program, it's a 12-week program. And
First,
yeah. What's that?
You just schedule first, and then we'll talk.
Yeah. Why don't we show the slide, because then we could show you kind of what the program schedule is. I don't know if you have the slide ready or if you want me to.
Here, one second. I lost my slide share, so give me a second.
Okay.
There it is.
I might be able to pull it up.
There you go.
Great. All right. So as you can see, we have the 12 weeks of the program scheduled on Wednesdays, and Wednesdays are really the core sessions that we have. And we have 2 action weeks in there, which are weeks that we won't be holding active sessions, but we will be giving you space to take action to implement some of the ideas you have. And then you'll also see there's 2 capstone session debriefs. So you can be doing your capstone projects during the action weeks and then debriefing the capstone projects in the 2 weeks that we have scheduled. So it's a 12-week total in terms of the core part of the program. And then you can see on Thursdays and on Fridays, we also have optional bonus sessions in which we can provide another level of support for you. The Thursday sessions are times for questions. So you can just jump on, you can ask any questions relating to the Surefire program. If you want clarification, if you want to know how to use some of the tools or where to use some of the tools, it's a perfect time to ask those questions. And then on Fridays are what we call action room sessions, which are, hey, I need help designing my program. Hey, I need help designing a particular engagement. Hey, I need help in knowing how to run a workshop. Can you help with that? So there's a bunch of things that we do in those action sessions. We give you an opportunity to ask questions related to the action you're taking so that you can move forward. And we also give you just an opportunity to hang out with the rest of the people, learn from each other, and co-work. So you can literally go to your own room and use that time as co-working space to take action, because sometimes having something planned on the calendar makes it much easier for you to actually get the program done.
Rob, I'm going to just share a couple quick things. For the Thursdays and the Fridays, these are totally optional, but you can also pre-submit your questions. So if you have questions about the content we cover on the Wednesday, submit it on the forum, and then we'll cover it whether you're there or not on Thursday. You don't have to be live. And you'll get the recording so you can see what the answer to your question was. And the same thing goes for Fridays. We'll, on Thursdays, we'll prioritize the pre-submitted questions first before the live ones, because they're just about the content and about what we taught on Wednesdays. But on Fridays, we're going to prioritize the live questions first. And if we have space for additional questions that were pre-submitted, we'll cover those as well. So either way, you should get your questions answered. And I think Rob will just decide now, we'll just commit to any questions that are submitted, we'll get some kind of answer, whether we get to it on Fridays or not, for those pre-submitted ones too.
Yeah. When you think about it, this is our flagship product. So whatever questions you have that you need to be successful in group coaching, we love those questions. And it's very important for us to answer those questions, because as we're developing this program, that's the questions that you have are going to be the same question that other people are going to have. So I 100% agree, Daniel. We'll just make sure that we answer all of those questions. So,
Rob, I don't think we need to go through the modules. I mean, they're here. What you're going to learn in each session, you'll learn session openings and endings, but I don't think we need to spend time there today, Rob. We can.
No. Yeah, I don't think so. We'd be glad to hang out and answer some questions if you have questions on it later. So getting into what the program is, the investment in the program is $59.97, or it is 3 payments of $2,200, whatever's easier for you, because we know, sometimes it's easier to break it into, 3 monthly payments instead of the one. When you think about it, though, you could start one group with 6 people at $1,000 a month, which is very reasonable for a group coaching program. And you could have the program cost recouped before the program ends. So this is basically, the equivalent of one cohort. And the benefit, obviously, for you is these are skills you're going to develop for a lifetime. So it's not just this one cohort you're going to run. So not only can you recover the investment within the scope of the program, but you'll have a lifetime of skills where you can start scaling to much bigger groups and also multiple groups at the same time using the skills that you have here. And the other thing is you'll be able to get going quickly on group coaching fast without winging it, without trying to design your program or without having to have the experiences. Daniel and I often have commented that there's just no way we could have gotten as far as we are without each other. But it actually goes further than that. There's no way we could have gotten as far as we are today have it not been for each other and for all the members who have gone through the earlier versions of the Surefire program and the Mastermind. We really are creating it in community with all of the members. And that's really what we're inviting you to be part of the family, part of the community. Because it's really that important. Our goal is to make more successful coaches because you guys are the people who are making the difference in the world. So as we mentioned, the program starts on May 4th, and we'll be taking a couple of questions at the end. And we'll, well, actually, maybe we'll take a couple of quick questions now for you. Christine will paste the link to sign up in the chat box, so you can take a look at that.
So I accidentally pasted this earlier. It's in there now.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. So Christine will do it after Daniel has done it. So even better. You may be all looking at that as we speak. But yeah, does anyone have any questions specifically about the program that we can answer now? And we'll be glad to take additional questions if you want them. You can raise your digital hand if you would like to, and if not, we can move into the debrief section.
I would like to I'm curious about anybody who's saw the offer. Is there anything standing out for you in the design of that offer that resonates or that you noticed that we put in there that you thought was particularly useful or helpful to you, or that you just like the idea that we designed into the offer today? I'm curious about that. All right, well, so I would like to just full disclosure. This is the first time we've made an offer on a workshop for a program directly. And so thank you for being there for us during our first actual attempt to do an offer. So appreciate everybody for being here for that. And Rob, maybe we do just move straight into debrief because that's probably one of the most valuable things about what we can learn about group coaching today.
Yeah. As we said, the debrief is where the real juice comes out, and we love them, and we love both the "oh my gosh, everyone, that was so great," and the "wait, why'd you guys do this?" Like, we don't get that. Everything is fair game, and we always appreciate the honest feedback that every one of you can share. And again, you're all coaches, so your insights are particularly valuable.
Yes. And so, yeah, we thank you, Christine. We've sold this program before, but we haven't done it on a workshop like this. So
yeah,
live on a workshop before. So that being said, for those of you who are on audio only, it might be a great time for you to come back if you want to participate in our debrief of the entire session, everything we went through today. Because we started with the introductions, and we talked a little bit about what we're going to cover. We did a purpose question. We did so many activities today. You all remember them. I'm not going to recap it too much detail, but I'd like to open it up for the whole group, and including those of you who would like to come back on video to participate in this, probably the most intense part of the learning for group coaching, that we always have in our programs. And by the way, in the Surefire program, we debrief every session, so you will get a little experience of that today too. So we do that with the members so that you learn the most you can and really take away the powerful tools and apply them more effectively. So let's open it up. Let's see, what did you notice? What did you feel during today's session? And we just open it up to the group. You can just go ahead and raise your hand and we'll take comments, observations, insights, learning. Go ahead, Kimberly.
All right. So tight. I've had the pleasure of being able to watch you guys iterate this over and over. It's very useful as I begin to create my own workshop to move into more of a public offering of what I do instead of through so much to expand into a public offering away from my referral, although that ironically continues to grow, so that's okay. I may never have to do this. So anyways, just watching you guys get tighter and tighter with it, and watching how the people that are new getting to observe and watch this experience be even more impactful more quickly. Like it's so highly impactful. What I wrote down, I can tell this is your first time making the offer live. And what I wrote was, what is up? What wonked you guys out? It's such a dramatic shift in the energy. And what you offer is so powerful. And so I felt like I wanted to say, like, pause, wait, go back. I have input to offer you, but I wanted to start with, that was my observation. What about for you guys? What was it like for you to switch and drop into something you haven't done before? Like, which is how I feel every time I still lead a group through a group coaching, but to drop into something. And what did you notice about yourselves?
Yeah, great. Rob, do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think part of it was, it was just more of, like my natural style being just participative, direct to camera talking. And this was more like, oh, I have to say the right words. So there was a little bit in my head about saying the words the right way and reading the words the right way and reading them with a degree of flow. So I'm not sure if you picked up on that. That might have been what was going on. I was so involved in doing the process that I probably wasn't as aware of the feeling of the process as we were going through it.
I'll add to that. So, by the way, for everybody listening right now, we do with all our activities and the sales. What we have figured out recently is the sales offer is just another activity that we actually need to design. So we spent a little time designing it. I wish we'd had like 48 more hours of design time into that activity, because when you do a sale and make an offer, you need to plan that activity just as much as we plan all our other tools. And this is an area of growth for us in the sales activities. So, but for me, when we got to the sales part, I was thrown a little bit off because I was waiting for Rob to say, hey, show the slide. And he started going into the offer, which is great because then I knew to show the slide, but then I was like, am I in the right place? And a few subtle things happened during the time that we were doing leading up to the offer and during the offer. And I'll share some of these. One is when we designed the offer in, we also added in what people asked for last time, which was a little bit more about Rob and Daniel. And what changed in that moment that we did those segments on our history, what changed for me was I noticed that we didn't have as much engagement as we normally have. And I might want to shift how that activity goes, because that lowered the level of energy of the group, right? And so because we were doing a little more talking than we were doing for the rest of the session. The rest of the session, super engagement, right? Everybody's participating. But then we did a little bit of history. And this is why we didn't do it last time, because we didn't want to drop the energy. So we experimented with it today. And I would say we could probably design that a little differently, given that what happened there. Maybe actually ask members what they love about us so far in the session. There could be ways to redesign the activity about me and Rob and our history and why we're doing this. And maybe we just also need to practice it more to dial up the energy of how we deliver it too. There's part of that. And then We also, there's 2 or 3 other things that happened that also contributed, I think, Kimberly, to your observation, which is right on. Like we're trying something new. We're a little bit nervous, but we're going to give it our best. And we always improve. Next time we do this, it's going to be so much better, of course. But one thing that happened was we lost some people on the video. And so the thing is, we don't know the reason why, but sometimes in our heads, we start telling ourselves stories like, oh, are they not interested in what we're talking about? Or do we do something unengaging? And who knows why they're off it? They could have a grandchild next to them. They could have, a very, very good reason that has nothing to do with us. But those things are going through your head and they're sort of gnawing at your consciousness. So like next time I would run this, I would think I need to really prepare for that a little bit more when we're doing a sale, especially because I'm used to it at other times. But during a sale where I'm already nervous, there's a lot of like little things going on in my head. And so planning for that in the design of the activity, and I am calling it an activity because it's not just supposed to be monologue. And we're also very, very not used to like talking this much in a group session. So that was one of the things going through my head. And then lastly, I found it a little bit challenging to recover from some of those things, given that I was still trying to focus on getting it right. So this is where rehearsal and practice comes in. We've rehearsed this more than we've rehearsed any sales activity because we really haven't had to before. But as I told Rob before this, like I wish we had like 15 more hours on rehearsing the sale, which we'll do next time. But that's some of my reflections. I wonder if that's helpful for anybody. Did anybody feel like that resonated with them at all? Or
yeah, I appreciate that you guys could nail it so quickly, because I've been on with you guys forever, right? So for people that aren't used to watching a debrief, we're pretty like, it's like, hey, this is what I saw, what's going on? Let me offer this, or did you think about that? So I want to make sure that we're not like just blowing people away who have never sat through one of our debriefs. So I'm being kinder or gentler. But it's all from a place of love and care and getting better. It's not from a place of, what the heck were you thinking? Because I already know how much you guys put into this. And so I'll offer this up. I don't need a bunch of reasons and considerations after going through that experience. It's so palpable what you bring that what I want to say to you is just own that. Like, I just show the structure. We have a pathway that we're taking you through. It has been developed in this way. I don't need to know all the details because I'm not going to remember them anyway. If I do need details, I might ask about it. Now, I'm also giving this from my perspective. So there may be people on who are like, no, I love seeing all 12 sessions. I love seeing that we're going to do this on Thursdays and this on Fridays. I'm just wondering if there's an E5 for this. Those of you in the mastermind know what I'm talking about, that there's a way to E5 this puppy so that you can sit in your own framework. Because in my head, I'm like, hey, what we've got for you is what we had today times 12. I mean, you get your own shit brought in, sorry, you probably wouldn't say that. You get your own goals and challenges brought here to a group with a proven process. It happens over 12 weeks. You can start a group right away. You can be paying for this as you go. And here's what it takes. We're meeting on Wednesdays. We've got backup for you on Thursday and Friday, and it's, $6,000. Come play. I mean, bam. Like you guys have such a powerful tool here and a powerful process that there is no one who goes through Surefire that doesn't come out the other side, like exponentially supported and grown and able to step into group coaching at a level that does not exist out there. And so, or maybe you should just have me sell it for you. No, I'm just kidding.
I was just thinking that we're going to time check that and just pop it in.
But I'm like, and me, I don't get screwed up with sales. So it's just not a thing for me. And I don't know why. It's just my gift. So anyways, I just want you guys to know you guys don't have any reason to give me a bunch of reasons or considerations or things I need to think about. No freaking way. You know that what you do delivers, like so much more than you even can promise. So
Thank you for all that. I just want to acknowledge that like what you're saying is so right on. And also I know that we were planning to be here till right now, but what I think we could do is, for those of you who would like to continue, this discussion is going to get really, really good, more than it already is getting really good. So I want to give us a chance to extend what's emerged here. If you need to leave at 4 Eastern here, that's okay. Feel free to leave, but like get ready for some really good stuff if you're going to stay, because we're going to debrief a little bit more, not only on that, but on anything from the session. And there's some definite really great things going on next. And so what we'll do our debrief for maybe another 15 minutes more, and then we'll do a wrap up activity on the session. We'll just extend it for another maybe 15 to 20 minutes. Okay. So if you need to leave, you can just pop like what you learned today with biggest insight in the chat, and you can say thank you and go and say goodbye. But please do stay with us if you can, because there's some really good stuff about to happen. And Kimberly, I'm just going to build on what you just said. Number one, as we were going through it, I was thinking like, why are we doing all the talking? We should actually have the talking come from other people, like we did with the myths. The myths and the misconceptions that the Surefire members shared was so much better than us saying it, because that's like proof is in the pudding of the members who've gotten it. So we could have actually had, you, for example, could have sold the program way better than we ever could have sold it. So maybe we'll design that in and make it a more participative sales process in the future. And also there's probably ways to design, like you said, the 5E process. We could probably find some way to design it into sales and sort of upgrade how we do sales so that it's more authentic to how we do groups, right? Like sales, we're trying to do the things that we've been told are really good that you need to do and the things that work, but we also have never done it done our activities the way that other people think you should do them. We figured out what will work for the members and for the experience you're having. And we're just learning how to do that with the sales activities. So I think, there's some really great opportunities to involve the group in the sales more, because technically we're doing that the whole session up to that point. So why stop, right? Is kind of your point. So yeah, we can dial it and make it a lot more authentic. I think we have lots of room to grow there. But again, we're not selling our sales expertise here. We're selling our group coaching expertise.
Right. Yeah. And it was such a marked difference for me and what I usually see from you guys. So I just wanted you to know, I noticed it, and I think you did too, and to offer up some ways to look at improving it. And I'm sure other people have input in that arena as well. And you guys can chew up that fish and spit out whatever bones you don't like. So, and as you were talking, I was like, we're like debriefing the raw. I mean, that's like, there's like,
this is valuable stuff for everybody who's here. Like write down what you remember, so what you noticed about the learning. Thank you, K-Dub, and I'm sure we're going to talk about this more in the mastermind as we build a better sales activity, which actually that can be really valuable for all of us. So I'm excited for that. Let's go to Christy, and anybody else who can put your digital hand up as you notice things about our session today.
Yeah, and again, I might shock y'all because this is going to be short and sweet probably, but it's kind of piggybacking on what KW was saying. For me, this would be a situation where I would encourage less reliance on the structure and more on the heart, because that's what I missed. I felt like I felt a real switch from speaking from the heart and what you're comfortable with to speaking what you were talking about. You had some new material and you're still getting comfortable with the words. And Rob, you were saying wanting to make sure it was perfect and that you were using the right words and stuff like that. And what that did was that you weren't talking from here anymore. You were talking from there. And that to me is always going to be obvious. And you can read something, and if what you wrote was written from your heart, then you can read it and it'll come across more as your heart. But it goes back to and I'm a master at this, of knowing all the things that you're supposed to do. And when I step into doing the way I'm supposed to and away from being authentic, that's when things derail. So I'm not saying anything new, and KW said it way better than me. I just want to reaffirm what she was saying. And I believe that there is all kinds of structure ways, as she suggested, that you could dial it all in. But even if you do all of those things, you still got to keep here. That part has to stay here. And sometimes when you rely too much, or until you get totally comfortable with it, I would err on the side of screwing up and speaking authentically than reading perfectly and losing that authenticness. Does that make sense?
Thank you for sharing, Christy.
I thought it was really well. I thought everything was really well done. I didn't get a comparison, but I thought it was really well done. And I do want to say that. I also, and will reinforce what KW said too, for anybody that hasn't been through a debrief. This is actually one of the things that I appreciate most about both Daniel and Rob, is that it's like they desire to be better so that they can serve better. And so they're willing to take all of this constructive criticism and turn that into something that's even better for the group and everybody that's part of it. And that is one of the things that I appreciate most.
And thank you for that, Christy. Yeah, I think one of the things we want members to see us doing is the debrief process, so that they learn how to do it for themselves. Maybe not with their clients, because we're teaching group coaching here, but maybe in some form. And we in the certified program, we want people to do that, so we're going to give them that experience too. So thank you for that share. All right, anybody else? What else did you notice that happened today? Whether it's the sales or whether it's the other activities. Christine, go ahead. I'll capture yours.
I would just love to honor both of you for shifting some of your activities to make them even more enriching. So in moving from your getting people involved with your form journal, having people think through that before the activities, the richness of the shares and the activity before that were gorgeous. And that was so well done, well modeled. You highlighted for people, this is a structure that we use. So just like you were saying in your sales piece is, okay, we're going to have you experience it and then tell you what we're doing. And you did a little bit of this is a form journal and do it, but still you balance the beauty of teaching organically while modeling and having people experience the richness of what it is to connect and be connected and share with each other. And then everyone just built off each other with their appreciation. So I wanted to highlight that, and beautiful, well done. You have helped people move, and people even said during the shares that, hey, I'm taking it forward. I'm connecting with others. I'm inspired by others, the synchronicities. So I don't want to lose that beauty, which is the magic that you guys do bring and have. So thank you.
Thank you, Christine. I'm curious to hear from anybody else who has a comment to share about any activity that we did today or the overall session. Maybe if you haven't shared yet, totally fine to go ahead and say your piece, because we want to hear from you. We'll start with Carolyn.
So I noticed, I love the journal. I love the journal thing online, but also, and I private messaged Rob and said, yes, this music's so much better. You've used that music before and I really liked it. But then like the music you used earlier, that just reminds me of a grocery store or elevator music. And I just, every time I hear that, I'm like, oh, come on, give me some good music. However, the music that I love that you used on the journal thing, I'm wondering if that kind of slows down the energy a little. It's kind of, I don't know. I wonder if the vibe of the music had anything to do with the bringing down of the energy, or if it's just that we're not here on the screen anymore. We're all in our little journal space doing our journal. And I think you gave us extra time on that, because I've done that before with you. And I think somebody had debriefed saying, I didn't have enough time to do it. So it seemed like we had a lot of time alone with our journals today, which I like, but I did feel it maybe shifted the flow, the momentum of the class. And then like shortly after that, you went into the sales. And so it was like, oh, maybe there was something in between there. I don't know. Once through it, I don't remember. But
great observations. Thank you for those. So the music, so actually we gave you a little less time than we normally do for that activity. Interesting enough, but I think you've gotten clearer is probably what you're experiencing. It's like it was easier for you to answer questions, which means you've gotten clearer since the last time we did it. Because we actually shortened time. It was 5 minutes. I only gave you 4. So.
Oh, yeah, it seemed longer. We'll see, it's working. I was clearer.
We also added a 4th question. So So that's one thing. I think you're right about the music. Rob and I have discussed music many times. We don't plan to continue using the exact same music all the time in the future, but right now it's not the place where we want to focus our changes, because we want to make sure we're, you know, compensating artists for their creations properly. So we're only willing to use the royalty-free stuff that we can get to, and so we're not really ready to make that shift yet. But we will definitely be, especially as a musician. I feel like I really need to fix the music to something more appropriate and more enhancing. So we're looking to create a library of music for us and members to use based on the kind of things you're trying to provoke. So like, there's definitely a lot of good music out there, but we want to take it to the next level on that too and design it in. But that's just not an area of focus right now. It will become once that time happens. And then you're right in that the particular music we used didn't probably enhance the energy that we needed at that time, because we added the part about our history. And so with the history and the forum journal and then the sales, that was like not the greatest arc in the way that we delivered it. So we're gonna probably need to redesign that, as I was mentioning. But I think the sequence of things was a bit off. You know, when we were designing, we were thinking through it, and you know, there's nothing like going through it and then debriefing it to realize, like, the sequence can be fixed.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else in there that I didn't sort of answer?
Can I just say too, I really, oh, my hand's still up, sorry. I agree with what Christy said about like reading, but I don't know how you do that without reading that much, like reading it and you're coming from here instead of from here. And, you know, I can't talk because I had to answer my husband's question and go off camera for a second. So I wasn't there the entire time, but when I came back, I'm like, oh, they're still on that. Okay. And I was reading along with, you know, I could see it all on the screen, but yeah, maybe I don't, honestly, I don't think I've ever seen anybody, I don't care who it is, do that super masterfully, flow from teaching, participating activities to sales and be able to explain everything that's involved and do it in a way that there's not a shift. I'm sure there are people who do that, but I've never seen it.
We're gonna figure that out. Like just to be right now, Rob, you and I and the whole group, we're gonna figure out how to do that really well. And we're gonna teach it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Yeah, how to do it authentically. I like what Kimberly said about how can we do it that is authentic to us and kind of in the style, you know, that we teach and model, which probably means a lot less. And I was curious what people thought specifically, and maybe I'll let Christine speak first, but specifically about the slides with the, you know, like reading the slides and then having visual aid. Was that helpful or detracting from, like as we were reading it, when you saw it and you could kind of follow along, was that helpful to lock it in? Or was it like, no, it's too much, I don't actually need all that?
Are you asking me personally or everybody?
Yeah, just everybody on the call.
Like for me, it was, I think it depends on your personality type. Like for me, I'm like, whoa, that's a lot of words on the screen. So, but people who are very cerebral would probably go, oh, perfect. They're putting everything I need up there. So I don't know, different things that appeal to different people, but it was kind of helpful since I was kind of halfway, not really right here during all that I could look and kind of keep up and go, oh, okay, they've got them in columns. Yeah, all that was helpful, kind of a lot of words for my brain, but.
Monica has a thought.
On that particular point, I would lean toward not sending people away to another site while you are talking, but rather showing whatever it is from that other site that you want to focus their attention on.
Yeah.
You mean like actually showing the offer, like clicking
like
the link?
you sharing, like you either having that on your slides or you sharing the link.
Yes.
And going through it. Versus you're talking and then we're kind of like checking out the link, and what you're saying might not be syncing with what we're looking at. And we might be focusing on information that you don't want us to focus on.
Oh yeah, that was my fault. That was my fault. So I was sharing the behind the scenes here. Somebody texted in the direct chat to me that, I have to drop off, but I want the link to the program that you're selling, whatever it's going to be, because they hadn't got to that point, and we were just getting into it a little bit before any screen shares or any of the offers started. So I messaged them back, yes, no problem, thanks for coming, or whatever I said. Here's the link, and then I realized that went to everybody right at the beginning of when we're going to, and it was like a total distraction, like. That was just a Zoom mistake, like an error, like on the, somehow it went back to everyone instead of the direct message. It normally goes to the direct message. And so I didn't double check it was going to be a direct message. And that was just the worst possible time for that to happen, because everything we did, this is also a factor that lowered the energy for sure. I could feel it. The second I did it, I was like, this is going to hurt. This is going to hurt. So, and you can't delete message and you can't undo it. So people were busy clicking it. Oh, we should click a link now. No, that's not what I meant to do. And then they would all go to the website, and then whatever we're saying doesn't really matter anymore. So to your point, that is one thing that happened. And then to your other point, when we like assume that never happened, when we get to the place where we do share the link, we say like, when we share this link, here's what you're going to see. And we show it on our screen, let them see it. And then you just scroll to the bottom or click this button and it'll take you right to the offer. And if there's any questions, you can see it there, but then you click this button and then it'll show you the offer, the checkout page. Or maybe we just send them straight to the checkout page for that reason, Rob. We were debating that earlier before the session. Do we send them to the sales page? So yeah, I'd be curious, Monica, what would you say to that? Like, should we send them to the sales page or to the checkout page with the link?
So I think that it's useful maybe not to show the table that's on the sales page with all of the actual sessions in it, but to have something simple that says, we're going to be meeting on Wednesdays from this time to this time, starting on this date. And we have the question rooms on Thursdays at this time, the action rooms on Fridays at this time, but that you're starting the program on this date. These are the days and times. So it's only like one Wednesday, one Thursday, one Friday with those times instead of that whole table, if that makes sense.
You're talking about our schedule slide?
Yeah. Like as long as that's not in there, because I think that probably gets into the.
You're right. Those are details that are not necessarily known right now. You first need to commit to just Wednesdays at this time for starting May 4th, and that's all you need to know. Right. And then it's like, I can do that. Okay, great. But now you get, you got to read this to make sure it's going to work. And the truth is that's a really great point, Rob, that I think we can improve here. The schedule slide is good for the details if anybody wants to ask that question. Well, what are we going to do?
It's like onboarding.
Yeah, exactly. But for now, it's just like trust that Wednesdays is the core, and that's what you really need to show up to. And make that schedule slide so much. It's like three circles. It's all you need. Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays. Optional. Core. Yeah, that's a great feedback on the sales presentation there. And Christine, you're still capturing all this stuff, right?
Right.
Yes. Most of it.
The other thing that, because I missed the very beginning of it, I wasn't sure if you utilize like the permission to sell conversation, like in the beginning, like saying that this is going to be an experiential event where you're going to get a taste of what it is that we do, and we're going to give you some like bites that you can actually take away and use now. And at the end, we're going to share how, if this is something that you find useful, how you can work with us more. We're going to share that at the end. Like, did you say that at the beginning?
We did say, hey, some of the outcomes for today is like, we're going to learn all these tools and blah, blah, blah. And we're also going to share some next steps for you if you want to go deeper. And then when Rob got into the sales, he kind of said it really quickly. Is it okay if we tell you a little bit about our program? But I don't know how effective that was in getting, I don't think we got enough permission is what your point is. And I think that's
I would say that very deliberately. Like we're, gonna give you we're gonna share some details with you about like how you can join our program to work with us more. Because next steps, it's like, okay, are you gonna offer another one of these? Is it going to be like maybe a strategy call? Like next steps could be a bunch of different things. I think maybe explicitly saying something about the fact that you have something to offer like a program or something like that, I think would be good.
Yeah. Yeah, we can be much clearer about that at the beginning. We did mention it, but we didn't get clear about what it was. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, after we started the process of talking about ourselves, I feel like that the entire session did not go the way that I was hoping or expecting it to go. Rob, do you feel the same?
Yeah. Yeah, it was just that, you know, and maybe it was the energy drop, although yeah, I think the mistake, reflecting on it, was kind of summarized by Kimberly. We were doing what we thought we were supposed to do in terms of a sales effort, instead of doing what's true to us, what's authentic to the way we are. And that maybe we should have just said it quickly, you know, like we should have just said, here's the results you get, here's why it's important to us, and made it very tight. And then let people ask questions, or just give space for them to, give people space to bring out the details through questions, which would then make it more interactive.
I think you're on the right track, Rob. I think we explain as little as possible, and then we have people ask questions to bring it out. We leave unanswered questions and let people bring themselves back into the conversation, because that's what's missing, is during that time period, nobody was engaged and involved.
Which is completely not us. That's the problem. It's like, that's not even like, we don't do anything that's not interactive.
Yeah, and that's definitely what felt choppy for me.
Yeah.
I did like the history between the two of you. I did think that it was just slightly oddly placed so far into the event. Like, it seemed more like that would be like context up front, but I did like it though.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think so let me ask you this. When we're doing our intro, we're sharing a lot of information. That's one of the reasons I tend to go faster. I don't want it to take too long, because again, we don't like being the talking people. But like in the intro, I felt like I want to just get into an activity and get started. So one of the things we debated, which we didn't go with in the end, was like having each other share about a little bit about ourselves at various points in the session. So maybe actually, now I'm thinking about it, what if we did something like, after I do the welcome activity, and we run the first activity, maybe the second activity, after I do an activity, Rob can comment on like, hey, great job, Daniel, and then tell me what you love about me in that moment. And then when Rob runs an activity, then I just follow, hey, great job, Rob, here's what I love about you. Those would be probably more appropriate, more natural transitional times to do those segments. And it doesn't have to be like, hey, I'll tell you about Rob, and Rob can tell you about me. It's a little less contrived, a little more natural. And then, at some point later, when we talk about an activity as part of Surefire, then we talk about how do we start this whole group coach magic thing. There might be the perfect place in the session to insert those and make them short and digestible and relevant to the person that we're talking about who just presented, for example. Would that sort of help with that analysis, Monica, that you were making?
I think so. I think it would be good to try it out that way and see how it goes.
Yeah, I think we're going to do that next time, Rob.
Daniel, can I just say, if you feel that you have to rush through and speak through all of that too fast, then cut it or simplify it. Because if you're like, I really wanted to rush just to get to the activity, so I'm talking so fast to get through all of that, then simplify it. Less is more. Or if it's that important, make the presence, because your presence and your heart being open to that, this is what we're doing. This is what we have for you. This is where we're going. Sometimes that's slow. We're going to take you through a journey today. We are going to talk you through, we're going to let you experience what we do, the magic of what we do. We're called magic. We call ourselves magic for a reason. And as we go through this, I want you to experience it. We're going to teach you why and how at the same time, and that kind of thing. So
yeah, maybe actually slowing it down and taking longer might be more effective. Because like the thing that's going, so I'll just share the thing that's going through my mind when I'm doing the intro is like, here's all the like the admin stuff, like the what do you call it, housekeeping that needs to happen so people know how to show up, know what we're going to do. All that stuff needs to happen. And I'm just like, let's get it out of the way so that we can get into the fun stuff. But I think I could make it more fun, and I think I could find a way to do it in maybe a little more slow pace, but where it doesn't take as much time. And we've been finding that so many times that it's taking the minimum amount of time that it can take to let people know the key things that you have. Like, you have to know this is being recorded. You have to know that we're going to take you through some activities. You have to know what the outcomes are. Like, there's so many things that are in there for very good reasons. I actually even skipped the quote slide today.
Yeah.
For time. And
But in the rushing piece, it kind of sets the tone. So,
Yeah.
hey, we're here today. We've got a little housekeeping. As you all know, we're all experienced coaches. Yes, we're recording. Yes, we're doing this, and honoring that it is happening, and engaging with, that's where you can just bring that full energy of, hey, I'm here with you. We've got this. Like, we've got you, we've got this, and just a thought. So thank you.
Thank you for that. Yeah, it's a great point. And for me, that's one of my tendencies is I tend to rush, or I get really excited, So either way, I'm working on it. So that's something I can keep in mind for sure next time as well. All right. Are there any other really good places for us to talk about that you really want to focus on, anyone, or can we wrap it up? I think it's probably about time to wrap it up. All right. Well, first of all, I want to thank Monica. Were you going to say something there or no? I saw your expression. Okay. So thank everybody, whether you're on the recording, whether you were live and had to leave. I know we went a little overtime. And that's kind of the magic of the debrief. It can be really, really rich. We covered so many powerful insights in the debrief. So thank you for all being here. And just as we wrap up, I want to just ask, for those of you who are still here on the call, what was the most valuable takeaway for you from our session together? What was most valuable for you? Whether it was an activity we did, whether it was something we talked about in the debrief, whether it was the insight that you had at that one point in the session, or learning what not to do, whatever it is for you. What was your most valuable insight here?
I can start. The absolute importance of engagement and keeping everyone engaged throughout. Just that engagement is key. And how beautifully I know you guys do that. How beautifully I know you do that.
All right, thank you, Christine. Who would like to also share next?
I can share. I don't think that I actually thought about this until you said it, Daniel, that the act of, or the activity of selling requires its own, like, truly, like, intensely and intentionally deliberate design. Like, I know that, but in terms of designing it in the context of like a facilitated discussion, I hadn't really thought of it that way. So I appreciate that.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that's something we're learning as well. That's a pretty profound truth about sales, and that also tells us the potential of the sales activity as we engineer this right and better. We'll figure out the way to do that authentically for us. And thank you for sharing that insight, because that's powerful. Carolyn.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing Monica did. Just the sales offer is just another activity.
Mm-hmm.
I actually put that in I had already had it typed in there.
Nice. Yeah.
Rob, how about you?
I think that and also the importance of authenticity, alignment with yourself. It was one of the thoughts that as we're letting in information, so this is kind of a meta picture, but as we're letting in information, because we're going to consult the experts, because it's easy to think, I don't know how to ... right? I don't know how to sell. I don't know how to market, whatever those things are that are gaps, which is true. And it is good to take information from, but just as we do in the debrief, it's also important to filter information of what's true to my values, what matters to me, how can I take this information and convert it to something that's in alignment with what is authentic is more authentic to me. And so that, morphing it into that. And so I don't have the answer to that, but it's a curiosity now. Is there a division of a segment of GCM that becomes how to invite people authentically into your program, that may be something completely different than all the stuff that the experts tell you to do. I don't know, but
the answer to that, Rob, for me is yes. And we need to figure that out. In 6 months, we'll have that figured out, probably, maybe 12. But it's going to be so powerful, like our other tools. Like we just haven't had enough reps on it. So thank you for sharing that, Rob. I totally yes is the answer to that. My biggest insight, I think, addition to like what everybody said, yes. The other thing that I'm really, really, really feeling today, more than I have in the past, even, is just be willing to like try something and fail big and like this, whatever the stakes are, challenge yourself to go for it and to put it out there, and there's just like receive whatever feedback you get, as hard as that may be. And also that I've grown a lot as a person and a coach, because I can take that feedback and quickly turn it around from like, oh my God, I'm terrible, to like, oh, I'm learning so much. And it's just like so valuable to have this community to be able to do that. And so that was one of the things that just really struck me today, more than even last time. So in addition, also sales as an activity. Huge insight too. So thank you everybody. Sometimes we every time we end a session, we always end it with a little bit of music and a little bit of our thank you, Monica, for that. I love that in the chat. We end it with our little symbol, which is our little virtual hug for everybody, and Rob plays the music. We dance our little hearts out towards each other. Thank you for showing up today, and thank you for watching this replay. We hope to see you at our Surefire program for the rest of the online at the Rancher Show, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.